Hi there. Welcome to the Lifestyle Herbalist Podcast, where we hope to bring you a healthy dose of happiness. I'm your host, Dabney Vaccaro, clinical herbalist, health coach, lover of plants.
And I'm Sabrina Cooper, registered culinary holistic nutritionist and herbalist. Join us as we dive into the art of herbalism, mindfulness, and healthy lifestyle practices to help you achieve a happier and healthier life. Whether you're a seasoned herbalist or just starting your wellness journey, we're here to provide you with the insights, tips, and inspiration for a more balanced and joyful existence. So grab your favorite herbal tea, sit back, and let's get a healthy dose of happiness together.
Welcome back to the Lifestyle Herbalist. I'm here with Sabrina. I'm Dabney, and it is a new year. 2025 is already upon us. And gosh, I can't believe it, Sabrina. It's a new year, and I know lots of folks have made lots of commitments to themselves, things that they would like to get done this year. I don't like to call it necessarily resolutions, but I kind of make intentions for myself. What do you do at the beginning of the year, Sabrina? Is there anything in particular that you have a habit of doing each year?
Well, I think I think over time I've gotten a little more in tune with what works for me. And if I set goals or things to achieve, I feel that I get anxiety over it because what happens if I don't do it? Or, what happens if this or that? Or sometimes things just get in the way of life and you just can't fulfill those goals you had all this ambition to do at the beginning of the year. So my thing is to kind of look back at the end of the year before and take things that didn't quite work well with me and learn from those and perhaps incorporate something that can change the story around those things that didn't work for me. So that's kind of my thing. So it is sort of like setting an intention because you're intentionally trying to improve what wasn't really working for you in the year before. So that's how I kind of go through my year. Because, we can all say, starting January 1st, I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to go, walk 10 miles. I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm going to whatever. And then something happens. And then how does that make you feel? Right. Sometimes you're like, oh, I didn't do it. And now you get all distraught about it. Some people can. Right. And so I feel like we just gotta do one thing, tackle one thing at a time too. Right.
Yeah. I think too, people maybe bite off more than they can chew. They have great intentions or great ideas and great goals, but how do you put them into action? So setting yourself up for failure can be quite devastating and can bring on anxiety and a sense of failure, like you said. So yeah, being smart about it, like set specific things, make a measurement, make a time frame, and just make a little bit, maybe by the end of the month, I'm going to make sure that I'm cooking 3 times a week in my house, and that's January. February, okay, you're cooking 3 times a week in your house. Maybe in February, you'll say, you know what? I'm going to maybe not have sugary drinks this month, or whatever it is. But
Exactly.
You make these small little steps that over time, by the end of the year, you will have made a huge transformation in your lifestyle. Because, that yo-yo dieting things, all diets work. There's some crazy diets out there. There's things called the milkshake diet, like having a milkshake every day is going to make you lose weight. Well, okay, that's probably true if you have one milkshake a day and that's all you have, because you just are reducing calories. But is that the healthiest thing to do? No.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's it, right? I think you hit the nail. It's on the head. It's you really want to do little bite-sized pieces, bite-sized, in terms of food as well. But, don't go eliminate everything. And we've talked about these in our podcast because that's just a recipe for disaster. And it's it's almost like you got to do the maintenance. You got to start little bit by little bit. If you haven't been eating healthy or you fell off the bandwagon, you go full tilt, you may start feeling like you're craving those things, but is it because you're not getting enough of the right foods in you? So really investigate and take the time to really set out a good path or a good way of doing things research before you actually just dive in, right? So that it works for you. And everything, like your friends, we've said it before, your friends' motivation and whatever may not be yours, like somebody may say, hey, I really love being vegetarian, it works for me, but maybe you actually feel more comfortable eating meat because it's easier for you to incorporate those foods into your everyday life. It's maybe in moderation, but it doesn't have to be what one person is doing isn't always the best for somebody else as well. So take the bite-sized pieces and start with one thing at a time. Make, like you said, 3 days, you're eating healthy. That's why they incorporated meatless Mondays a lot of times, because they were like, okay, if we can do one day a week without
Right.
eating meat, then wow, we did it. So you did it, right? Like there was a woman today at the gym and she was like, oh, like huffing and puffing, like I can't do this. I'm like, but you're here. That was the first step. You made it through the door of the gym. Well, first you got your clothes on. You booked the appointment. You got your clothes on. You made it in the snowstorm to the gym without turning your car around saying, yeah, no thanks. And you're on your mat doing the best you can do. Those are wins. Like,
Yes.
that's amazing. And if tomorrow she doesn't come because she's sore, well, she did it. She did it one day of the first year of, day 2, January 2nd. So it's a win for her. And
Yeah,
I try to
it is.
paint
It's just
that, right?
great. It's those small little incremental steps that lead up to really big changes. And it can happen fairly quickly. It's amazing how our body can heal itself if we give it what it needs.
Yeah.
So what we were going to talk about today is how do we continue doing the things we want to do that are good for us? And sometimes it comes down to our boundaries. And I don't mean necessarily the boundaries of people around us, but the boundaries within ourselves. And so, what I learned in my herbalism course is boundaries are held in the kidneys, and having good kidney health helps us say no to foods or things, activities that are not serving us. So, we were going to go over some of those nutritive dense herbs that can help easily be able to incorporate them into your lifestyle, that can help you say no to those cravings. And even I've had a patient, or sorry, not a patient, a client, talking dental hygiene here, a client that she didn't ask me necessarily to help her stop smoking. But one of the things I put in her herbal formula was an herb called nettle that helps actually with these types of things like cravings and maybe incorporating things that doing things in your life that really aren't as healthy. She called me one day and said, what did you put in my tea? I don't want my cigarettes. I said, really? I said, well, that was a side benefit of the herbs, but I put in the nettles because I knew that she wasn't eating at home. She wants to do better as far as nutrition. So I was giving her some things that were nutrient dense. So nettle, stinging nettle, and it grows wild. I think most places. Do you have stinging nettle in
We do.
Canada? Yeah.
We do.
So it is so nutrient dense. Actually, I was going to look up all the nutrients that it has, but it's actually considered a food because it is, and I use it in the place of spinach a whole lot. Um,
It's one of those ones I think we did mention back because I remember talking about how um, you have to really be careful kind of when you do use nettle in your garden because it's stinging. Like it
oh
has
yeah,
the
it
nectars on
definitely
it. And
lets you
you
know when you're
definitely
close.
want to, it does. And it kind of resembles mint when you have it, we have it growing along our shoreline. And when you're trying to like weed, it's like all of a sudden you're like, ah, because you think it's just a basic weed and it stings and it's horrible. It's like it's prickly almost through your hand, like a sensation of a burn, at first. And you're
It,
like trying to shake it. It's a really uncomfortable feeling, but then people just want to throw it out. But like you said, it has so many great nutrients for it. And it's really great used in dishes and salads and things like that, right? So
oh, absolutely. Um, I was just gonna just let you all know what the benefits were. So I know that it has lots of calcium in it. It's rich in vitamin A. It has iron. Um, even has beta carotene, believe it or not. But it has vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin K. It has several of the vitamin Bs as well. It's very rich in antioxidants. Um, I put it in a lot of my teas that are for women, because women in general, we tend to need to have more things that are nutrient dense for our bones. And with having osteoporosis and osteopenia as we get older, especially after menopause, having those extra vitamins and minerals and calcium is really important. So,
For sure. I think, yeah, it's definitely one that goes, it's like an underrated herb for sure. And I think, I mean, the more we talk about it, hopefully people will start incorporating it into their everyday life. Maybe it will be a 2025 herb for people
yeah.
to tackle or to take on, just to try it out and see how they feel after using it for some time. Because like you said, it does like have some great anti-inflammatory properties and can help regulate your blood sugar, like things like that. So, antioxidants. So it really is a powerful herb to have in the garden and have near you. And it's an easy one to grow for
Oh my
sure.
gosh,
Like
because it is in the mint
so
family.
easy.
So once you get it going, it
Yeah.
is going to go. Yeah.
It
So,
goes in the
um,
wild.
yeah, nettles is actually helps to build the blood, the bones, and the joints and the skin.
Thanks for tuning in. I wanted to let you know about eCornell's plant-based certificate program. Enrolling in the eCornell plant-based certificate course is an excellent way to deepen your understanding of nutrition and its impact on both our health and the environment. Personally, this course helped me realize just how crucial food is to our body's well-being and why we must carefully consider what we eat. It's grounded in science, and the course provides evidence-based insights into the role plant-based nutrition plays in supporting optimal health. It also highlights the environmental and sustainability aspects of our food choices, making it a comprehensive resource for anyone looking to better understand the broader implications of nutrition. I highly recommend this course to anyone wanting to gain a solid, science-backed foundation in plant-based nutrition. Check out the link below in the show notes for more information. Now, back to the show.
Everybody should have a little bit of nettle in their cupboard. And it's cold. It's cold here in Virginia, and Sabrina got snow, and it's more coming,
Yeah.
I think.
Same.
Maybe it's still coming, but I mean, it's a great time of year to enjoy tea. So let your nettle steep. It's actually very nice to have as a tea, but you can also add it to a soup.
Yeah.
And once I mean, this time of year, you're not going to be able to go out there and gather it so much because, it's winter. But in the summertime, in the spring, when it's coming through, once you put it in a pot of water and just steep it just a little bit, like you can touch it and it doesn't sting. And once
Mhm.
it's dried, it doesn't sting. So you only have to really be cognizant of those
Mindful.
little stinging parts while it's fresh.
Yeah. And wear gloves. You can wear gloves to pick
Oh
it.
yeah, I do. I was watching a lady, I think it was on maybe YouTube, who was gathering some nettles and she did not have any gloves on. I'm thinking, I want to be you. I want to be able to do that. But I'm thinking, I don't know if I can.
I guess it's like cold plunging after a while. You just
You
get
just
used
kind
to
of
it.
get used to it.
You
Yeah.
kind of are like, you kind of maybe like that sensation. I don't know. I wonder if it's kind of like that. Have you ever the Shakti? Have you heard of the Shakti mat? The
No,
Shakti
no.
mat. It's like a mat and it has like all these little like like little um like not needles, but like raised kind of points that are like sharp. Not
Oh,
too sharp though, that you can actually walk on them and they're supposed to hit
huh?
all the acupuncture points and things like that. And so the Shakti point, a lot of times they say that like if you have like jaw pain, like you can lie on your face so it like brings the blood and all that to that
Oh yeah.
area, your
Makes sense.
back.
Oh yeah.
Just look it up. If anybody has any like discomfort or feet or things like that, like just need some stimulation, it's a
Yeah.
great my husband like always like takes and put like taking your shirt off like on your back and like laying right on it. It's like one of those things like stinging nettle where you're like, I don't know if this feels so good. But then once you kind of drop into it, you kind of like feel that whooshing like of that blood going and that
Yeah.
sensation going to that area and you actually relax into the mat. It's fun.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
maybe that would help too with some of our
Absolutely.
boundaries. Like, we're putting it on the kidneys.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. So another herb I think about is borage, borago. Boy,
Mhm.
it grows like crazy. Have you grown borage before?
Actually on my I just bought the seeds for it to grow this year.
All you need is a couple. I'm just
Okay.
telling you, it
Okay.
reseeds itself like crazy. And I was giving
Really?
so much away. The
Okay.
neat part about it, borage is considered a food as well.
Oh,
And but it has these little hairs and little prickly parts to it. I get the leaf when it's only like maybe a couple inches out of the ground and I snip it and it's nice and tender then, but it tastes like cucumber. It's really
really?
nice in a salad. Yes. I've dried it, I've tinctured it, but borage is considered a food as well. And just having a cup of borage, like in a salad, you can get 83 milligrams of calcium. You can get iron, potassium. It has like 418 milligrams of potassium. The neat thing about this is that it has so much vitamin A, like a lot of vitamin A, which is very helpful for the skin um,
Right.
and eyes. So anyway, borage, and it's beautiful. Some people
It's
call it a
purpley
star
flower,
flower.
right? It has a
Yeah,
little purple flower on
it is
it.
absolutely beautiful. And it's the borage seed. Like once the flower is done, it has this little seed. Of course, it grows like crazy just on top of the ground. It will reseed itself very well. But people will use the seed oil for a lot of medicinal things like skin issues and things.
Hmm.
But and I
Yeah,
know
and I was
that.
reading too, you could use it like as a pesto or like you can
Mhm.
like make put in ice cubes for like you said it has a cucumber flavor so that people
Yeah,
put like oh,
yeah, it's a
I'm glad
very
that I bought that. It was one that I don't know if I just didn't get it because I haven't used it because I don't have a lot of room in my garden. And so now I have this little plot that we're trying to build up on this other farm. So I thought, oh, this could maybe be a nice one for people to try because I'm trying to
Mhm.
create a medicinal kind of herbal garden on
Oh,
this
nice.
community garden. So people
Yeah.
who they all have annuals are only allowed to plant annuals. And
Oh,
so this farmer said, "Oh, you can use it for like I'll give you a plot for perennials." And I said, "Oh, well, why don't we make it community so people who like want cilantro they can just go pick or whatever, you know?" And so I'm going to throw in some fun herbs like the
fine.
borage.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
excited for them.
and the flowers are beautiful in a
And they're
salad.
beautiful.
They're in a
Yeah.
salad, and you can decorate cakes. Like I know there's people that who are cake bakers or decorators. They actually dip them in like a little bit of like sugar, and they will sugar them and then use them in their cake decorations. So it's a very versatile plant. So and it's beautiful in your garden. That's borage.
Perfect. I like that.
Yeah. Alfalfa is another one. I remember as a little girl, my mom growing alfalfa sprouts. I guess there was a time when it was real popular to grow your own sprouts. And sprouts were on like sandwiches and salads and different things. But
Ugh.
when I think of alfalfa, I always thought, well, isn't that what the cows eat? And it's true, it's what the cows eat. Um, but it is so loaded with vitamins. The neat thing about alfalfa, according to my herb book, it's been used since ancient times. It says the roots can grow 30 to 60 feet deep.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
And that's why it's so nutrient dense, is because it picks up all of those minerals and water that other plants can't get to. So it's almost like you're eating things that's just untouched. You know, there's a whole lot of ideas about why we need to supplement because our dirt isn't quite as nutrient dense as it once was. But alfalfa's roots get so far down into the ground that it makes it so nutrient dense.
Do
So
do
yeah,
don't farmers use alfalfa to like as an in-between crop, like to
yes,
nutrient
it's a
like
cover
to
crop.
a
Yep.
cover crop, right? They do
Yep.
kind of do that
Mhm.
up here. I thought
Yep.
so.
Yeah, it's a cover crop, and then they just kind of all mix it all into the
It gives
ground
like
in the springtime, and then they plant their normal
yeah.
crops and things. So yeah, it's almost like you're putting nutrients back into the ground. Yeah, but it's a good blood purifier as well. It's used for poor appetite, general weakness, and mineral deficiencies. So it's also really good for digestive issues.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Which is great because like going back to, when you have boundaries and things and you eat certain foods, you want to have a strong digestive system to help you clear out and get and your kidneys to be strong in order to clear out whatever you have taken in that doesn't serve you well, right? You want to like flush it out as quickly as possible. So it's good to have something that's working on the digestive system.
yeah. Um, the other thing about having alfalfa this time of year is that it's moistening. And I know for me, like winter is so drying, like with all the heating and the wood and just general air, it's just there's no humidity. So my skin tends to get really dry. So by moistening the inside, it helps my skin to stay not quite so irritated. So having those moistening herbs, and most herbs, a lot of herbs are more drying. So
Yeah.
it's important if you have a drying herb that you're mixing it with something that is more moistening to try and counter that dry effect.
To balance it, right?
Right. Absolutely. Balance. That's what we like.
We
Um,
try.
yes, we try. So another herb that I think about is oats. Most people know about oatmeal, and they
Mhm.
know that when you're making oatmeal, like it makes almost like a paste, like it's very thick and moistening, like it moistens our bodies as well. It's very nutrient dense, and so I put oats sometimes in people's formulas that are needing a little extra nourishing and moistening. But it's
Mhm.
kind of a neutral herb too. It's not yeah, it kind of keeps things kind of your status quo. Like it doesn't warm you, it doesn't cool you. It's kind of more of a neutral herb. Um,
And it's great because on the topic of the boundaries, it also stabilizes your blood sugar. So it can help you reduce those sugar cravings, those highs and lows, right? And it can keep you, well, if you actually eat the actual oats and the herb, it will keep you full longer. So you might not get those cravings as readily as you would normally eating something else.
yeah, the other thing is that it actually it helps with it has some fiber in it too. So it
Yeah.
helps things move through so that things aren't getting stuck in your system either. Um, one of my herb books talks about milky oats as a support for people who are recovering from drug addictions. So, when we're trying to give up those things or stop doing those things that we know aren't helpful for us, adding some of these nutrient dense herbs into our teas or our foods can really help us get to that goal, which is maybe quit smoking or maybe stop drinking alcohol, whatever habit that you're trying to give up, even sugars and things. Like if we're feeling full and we feel supported and we feel like our boundaries are intact, we're not necessarily going to reach for that cookie or that piece of cake or that leftover chocolate that's left over from Christmas. So it helps us to be able to say no. No, that's not serving me. That's not really what I'm going to do this year. I'm going to make better changes for myself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So um, red clover is another crazy herb. I mean, it grows all everywhere and it's in the fields and the cows eat that as well. But isn't it amazing all the things that we give our livestock we should be consuming ourselves?
I know, right? It's funny. And it's the one that we try to get out of our yard. Everybody's trying to like kill it out of their yards because it's
That
just
and
takes
dandelion.
over, right? That and Daniel, exactly.
Yeah,
But you're right. It's such a good one that we don't think like for so many things, like, right? Like I mean, I'm reading here too, like detoxification,
yep,
skin health.
yep. It's also a good blood purifier. Again, good for that kidney health, good to keep your kidneys supported. Um, it
Bones.
also it also blocks the estrogen receptor site. So we we haven't talked much about xenoestrogens, but xenoestrogens are just those extra um, disruptors, estrogen disruptors. That's almost in every single thing that you touch these days. It's in grocery receipts, gas receipts, it's in plastics. And so when we're touching those things or getting into our system, we get too much of the wrong estrogens in our body. And so we having those things like red clover or even having a raw carrot and crucifer vegetables, it helps to remove those xenoestrogens from our body, those toxins that can be disruptive and actually promote diseases like cancer. So red clover also is helpful for hot flashes and things like that. So I've given them to some of my clients who have dealt with hot flashes, and it's actually in my hot flash tea, because it's just one of those herbs that's really great for women in general to have.
Agreed.
Yeah. And the other one that I was going to talk about is red raspberry. It's the leaf, actually. Berry, I guess, is okay, but more so it's the red raspberry leaf. It's rich in manganese, and it's a great for strengthening the uterine muscles in preparation for childbirth. It relieves and prevents morning sicknesses. The berries contained uh, compounds that are good for heart health. It protects the eyes. It guards against cancer and helps protect against diabetes. Do you use much red raspberry, Sabrina?
I started using a little bit more this year, and we have like a beautiful raspberry patch in our garden. Like it just that's my husband's thing. He always loves taking care of the raspberry bushes, so I let him do
Oh,
that. But yeah, like I just started using it because I just was like, I wasn't, you think red raspberry for some reason. I'm like, oh, it's actually the like back when I was like, oh, the raspberry leaves off of the raspberry you know what I mean? Like I don't know why I would like it's one of those things that was like an aha moment for me. And it was really weird. So then I was like, oh, I can actually use the leaves, not just the
yes,
berries.
right.
So it was like it's just funny when you think about it because you just always put raspberries with the raspberry fruit, right? You don't think that you can eat the leaf or use the leaves. So it was just funny. So yes, I have been using it a lot more and I really love it in teas and things like that. So
Yeah, the other thing I was reading about recently is is that the leaf improves fat metabolism, and can help with weight loss, because it can kind of improve the digestion and the general health of the body. And so it helps with maybe losing those extra pounds that maybe crept on over Christmas.
right,
Um,
exactly. We
yeah.
always need that. Yeah, like it's yeah, but it's like it's more of like a like well, it's kind of always been known as more of the woman kind of herbal medicine for women's health, right? Like that's where it's more but men can still get some nutrients from like the vitamin C's, the E's, and magnesium, all that what you had just mentioned. So it's not that you can't use it either, right? For all the
Oh,
men
right,
listening out there.
right.
Um, but yeah, it does have like exponentially amounts of benefits for women with like menstrual health, pregnancy, that kind of thing. But don't be fooled, men. You can use it too.
Yes. Yeah. And so I guess thinking about, people trying to get rid of things, I've been thought just now about dandelion. And I guess, how can we talk about nutrients and then not talk about dandelion? Like every single part of that plant is medicine. The root, the leaf, the flower, it's all medicine, and it contains a lot of nutrients in there as well. So it contains vitamin A and C, folate, calcium, potassium. It's antioxidant, which helps with heart disease and cancer. It can fight inflammation. It lowers
So
cholesterol.
much.
It helps to control type 2 diabetes. Ah, dandelion. And truth,
Again, another one that's crazy in our gardens, but
yeah, I know. I have a friend who fusses about dandelion every year, and it's like just give it a couple of weeks. You're not going to even notice they were ever there. Like the flowers are beautiful in the spring. They look gorgeous. I pick them and put them on the flower on my salads. They just look so pretty.
and
And
they like
and by the time June rolls around, you can't even find them because, they don't continue to bloom. Like
no.
after they finish their blooming process, like they just become part of the lawn. Like relax. You're not going to even
I
notice.
know. And they help the bees. Like it's the first kind of food for bees that usually too when they start popping up, right? So the bees need that, insects need it. And if we don't
Yes.
have those, then what are we gonna do? So yeah, dandelion is definitely one that we need to like have more in our life with. And I know we've talked about dandelion over and over because it's one of the herbs for everything, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to boundaries and taking care of ourselves, the ones that you've mentioned, I think really are a benefit. And when people start to look into this year, I know some people, I mean, for myself, I do it gradually. I'm not one to go like, okay, January 1st, that's it. I'm cutting off everything, because it's not realistic, right?
Right.
For
Right.
me. For me, I
Right.
can't go like that. I just kind of go, okay, my husband and I went on in November. We did like no alcohol for like, not that we're like huge drinkers, but we decided to do like sort of a cleanse. We went all the way almost until Christmas, actually, and didn't miss it. But like, there is that thing where you go out and you feel kind of odd not drinking. You have to explain why you're not doing it. And like people, it's the same with all these things when we set boundaries for ourselves. And then I look at people and I'm like, well, I'm not going to be feeling like crap in the morning, but you will be. And you start like thinking like, that makes me feel like, okay, well, I'm doing it for my own purpose. So it's not like, don't put your stuff on me. Don't put your yuck on me. Like my brother-in-law said, don't yuck on my yum. Like, I'm good. You just do you, right? Like, it's all good. And so whatever makes you feel good, don't get caught up in all the, and if you fall off or you have a day where you go, oops, I did that, that's fine. If nobody's going to, you're the only one judging yourself, right? So just see how you feel, use it as a learning lesson. Go, how did I feel when I had that? Did I feel kind of like didn't really need it, didn't feel great? Okay, tomorrow's a new day, right? So
Great. Yeah. And maybe just try one herb. Just try one of the
yeah,
ones we talked
and
about.
try one exactly.
And
Incorporate something new and get rid of something maybe that doesn't work. It's not always about like eliminating, it's also about adding in, right? I
great.
find
Well, and we're supposed to drink water every day anyway. We're supposed to get at least 10 cups because we lose about that much with urination, perspiration, respiration. So if you have to drink water, what I do personally is I steep myself some tea and I pour half of it into my water bottle and I pour the rest of it water. So it is watered down, but I'm still getting those nutrients that's in that tea. And so I'm drinking my tea and my water throughout the day. And it just makes me feel good.
yeah, I agree. Same. It's the same. I feel like that's an easy, like a good way fix to get in your water. And that could be one of your things this year. For me, that's what it is. It's like drinking more water because I have the water bottle. Sometimes it sits there. I look at it like, hi, water bottle, how are you? Nice to see you. And then I get busy. I'm like, have a sip, and then I'm off doing something else. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like by like 2 o'clock, I'm like, I only had one sip of my water bottle. Like I gotta like, that's just because water's not my cup of tea. Even when I add things sometimes to it, I'm like, I don't know. But that's the truth of my existence right now. So I'm really trying my best to add in more water.
Yeah. Yeah.
I even have an app that reminds me, and my husband's like, your app went off. You need to drink water. I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you
I'll
like
get
shut
to
it off
it.
like, oh, one. And I will as soon as I finish
I
this.
will. And so now I'm really being mindful. That's my thing, because I know that my body needs it. Especially when you come off like a couple of weeks of myself where I've been fighting something. I've tried a lot of things, and I'm like, okay, I need to get back on getting my nutrients going. So
Yeah. Yeah. So here's to 2025. Hopefully you found something in this episode that you can start incorporating into your life to make your life a little better, make your health a little happier. That will bring you a healthy dose of happiness. That is what Sabrina and I hope to bring to you. So anyway, until next time,
drink some water.
drink some water. Yeah, good idea.